So hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be discussing the drug Blonanserin. I am Dr. Akash Chaudhary, Senior Resident, Department of Psychiatry, Subharti Medical College. So first, we're going to talk about the targeted receptor and action of Blonanserin. So first, a brief overview of the drug. It's an atypical antipsychotic. It mainly acts on dopamine D2 receptor antagonist as well as 5-HT2A receptor antagonist. Has some action over on the frontal lobe in the norepinephrine so that it increases the cognition and has the least potency towards muscarinic agents and antihistaminic agents as well. So first, Blonanserin is an atypical antipsychotic, involves a precise interaction with dopamine D2 receptors and serotonin 5-HT2A receptors, offering a targeted relief for schizophrenia symptoms. So brain plasma ratio comparison of common antipsychotic drugs. In this slide, they have compared different drugs in which if somebody takes a medication, how much reaches the brain and how much stays in the plasma. So there's the direct comparison. So comparison between Blonanserin, haloperidol, and sulpride, olanzapine and risperidone as well. So it's clearly visible in PET scan studies measured that the brain plasma concentration ratio, Blonanserin had the highest BP ratio of 3.88, followed by olanzapine, haloperidol, risperidone, and in the end, sulpride. So there's this case vignette in which there was a case of treatment-resistant schizophrenia in a 31-year-old female, and they tried to add Blonanserin and tried to basically calm the patient and relieve her symptoms. So a brief clinical background and treatment response. At the time of admission, patient was at clozapine 175 milligram per deciliter, aripiprazole 10 mg, and paliperidone 6 mg. There were persistent hallucination and social withdrawal even after this aggressive treatment. On week 0 after admission, Blonanserin 4 mg on the morning and evening dose was started, and aripiprazole and paliperidone was stopped. There was initiation of the new regimen, followed by after 1 week, Blonanserin increased to 4 mg thrice a day, and clozapine was tapered, which comes under the adjustment phase. In week 2, there was continued Blonanserin and adjuncts were discontinued, and hallucination and self-talk resolved. So basically, they were trying to cross taper it with the other antipsychotics which the patient was on, and the clozapine as well. On month 6, maintenance was done at clozapine 25 milligram per deciliter and Blonanserin for 4 milligram thrice a day. So this dramatically reduces the side effect profile that patient was previously on. There would be less metabolic side effects, less risk of patient going having ANC, and the patient maintained well. All the positive symptoms comprising of hallucination and delusion resolved when an adjunct with Blonanserin was started in the patient, and there was significant reduction in clozapine dosage as well. Treatment-resistant schizophrenia is a major clinical challenge in psychiatry, defined as non-response to at least 2 antipsychotic trials with adequate dosage, duration, and adherence. Primary treatment-resistant schizophrenia is resistance from the beginning of the treatment, and secondary treatment-resistant schizophrenia is initial response followed by resistance, often after relapses, associated with demographic, clinical, and neurological predictors. Now the second profile. So first we talked about the positive symptoms, that it has a really great role as compared to other antipsychotics. It shows some promise in the negative symptoms as well. An RCT was done in which there were 307 patients and the duration of the RCT was 6 weeks. In symptom controls, all treatments improved positive symptoms, but Blonanserin of 5 and 10 mg proved to be superior to haloperidol for negative symptoms, as it acts on both 5-HT2A receptors as well, and there's some evidence of increased norepinephrine activity, which improves cognition of the patient. The withdrawal rates due to adverse event at worsening of symptoms was as low as 17.8 and 21.3% during 28 weeks of treatment. So they also followed that how many patients dropped off after taking the treatment due to adverse effects or non-response to treatment. As compared to other drugs, it has like the least amount of dropout rates. Blonanserin versus Risperidone, post hoc analysis in Japanese schizophrenia patient. So a bit of caveat, the first country that approved Blonanserin was Japan. Initially, they introduced Blonanserin in form of transdermal patches. And post hoc actually means that it is not theoretical. The data was given to the patient, they were given the medication, and after that, this analysis came out. and they saw blonanserin excreted a similar efficacy to risperidone in both positive and negative symptoms in schizophrenia, with the lower risk of prolactin increase, weight gain, and orthostatic hypotension compared with risperidone. The evidence that prolactin increase is not way too much is not still out there, but yeah, the evidence that support that there are least metabolic side effects and decreased sedation is quite eminent. That's how the drug is marketed, and the effect is similar to that as well. Theoretically, if we look at the receptor profile, the drug which is acting upon the H1 receptors, muscarinic receptors, and prolactin as well. So prolactin basically gets managed out with some 5-HT2A receptor activity as compared to risperidone, which is notorious to cause increased prolactin levels. But due to less action on M1 receptors and H1 receptors, the propensity of orthostatic hypotension is way less, and sedation as well. Efficacy and safety of blonanserin versus haloperidol in Indian patients with schizophrenia. Study design: an 8-week randomized open label active controlled phase 3 clinical trials. This sounds a lot. So 8 हफ्ते में randomly drug was given to the patient, which was open labeled. So basically the patient knew, the doctor knew, everybody knew what they are getting. Controlled phase 3 clinical trials. As you all guys know, phase 3 clinical trials helps to manage the efficacy, the safety of the drug, and any adverse reaction that are we expecting as a newer drug comes into the market. Symptom reduction comparison: blonanserin showed a mean PANSS total score reduction of 43.5, outperforming haloperidol, which was 36.6. Reduction in symptom severity. Negative symptom control: blonanserin was significantly more effective in controlling negative symptoms with a mean change of 10.3 versus 7.9 for haloperidol. Clinical global impression improvement: 67% of blonanserin patients achieved a CGI score of less than 2, indicating much improvement as compared to haloperidol. Safety and tolerability: both drugs were well tolerated with mostly mild to moderate adverse events reported. Extrapyramidal symptoms were the most common side effects managed by anticholinergic drugs. No serious adverse events and treatment discontinuation occurred throughout the study, indicating a favorable safety profile. Blonanserin, a promising antipsychotic with favorable safety and negative symptom profile. Meta-analysis of effect of blonanserin in treating patients with schizophrenia. The study analyzed 13 prospective studies involving 2,479 patients, comparing blonanserin with 5 commonly used antipsychotics comprising of haloperidol, risperidone, olanzapine, paliperidone, and aripiprazole, and a placebo. The key findings through these meta-analyses were: blonanserin, in terms of efficacy, significantly improved positive and negative symptom scale, total and positive scores compared with the placebo. Demonstrated efficacy comparable to other antipsychotics in improving PAN-SS score, positive and general psychopathology scores, while showing superior effectiveness over haloperidol in improving PAN-SS negative symptoms. In safety profile, blonanserin showed a lower risk of hyperprolactinemia and weight gain than risperidone, and intermediate risk of akathisia higher than risperidone but lower than haloperidol, and a side effect profile otherwise comparable to other antipsychotics. Blonanserin had a high affinity for dopamine D2, D3, and 5-HT2A receptors, which may contribute to the ability to improve cognitive function and negative symptoms. Most studies focused on Asian population and limiting generalizability. Short intervention duration for 6 to 8 weeks and a small sample size in the subgroup analysis reduces the robustness of the findings. More high quality long-term studies are needed to be done to validate these results. In conclusion, blonanserin is effective and safe in treating schizophrenia with comparable efficacy other than other antipsychotics, and advantages in managing negative symptoms and avoiding certain side effects. The findings proved valuable evidence for making, but further research is required to confirm the long-term usage of the drug. Conclusions and implication: efficacy of blonanserin. Blonanserin proved a non-inferior and potentially superior to haloperidol in managing negative symptoms of schizophrenia. Favorable safety profile suggests blonanserin as a promising first-line therapy for a short and long-term treatment. Future directions: further studies are recommended to validate findings and explore blonanSerin's role in treatment of treatment-resistant schizophrenia. So the FAQs, before I go to the FAQs, going through the receptor profile and the vigorous study of the drug, what is the ideal candidate of a patient who should be kept on blonanserin? What I would recommend is a young male who is having active delusion and hallucinations, but is cognitively fine. He does not want sedation, is concerned regarding the weight gain, is concerned that he might fall asleep if he is on medications. Then Blonanserin could be used as a drug of choice. If patient is way too agitated and is not sleeping, then any Risperidone or haloperidol would be the better drug. Somebody is concerned regarding the weight, is cognitively better, is able to do the household chores daily, but has active positive symptoms, then Blonanserin can be a drug of choice. Does it causes extrapyramidal reactions? Yes, it does cause EPR. Maybe less than haloperidol as it has a limbic selectivity and also blocks 5-HT2 receptors. If we act upon the potency, it's almost comparable to haloperidol, but it comes with the side effects of extrapyramidal side effects. But it has shown the superiority of tackling the negative symptoms as well. Now, if you compare, it is largely an atypical antipsychotic because it acts on 5-HT2 receptors as well, but the efficacy is quite close to haloperidol. Does it cause dry mouth or sedation? No, Blonanserin has low affinity for muscarinic and antihistamine H1 receptor antagonism, so it is less unlikely to cause dryness of mouth, constipation, or sedation. Does it reduce the seizure threshold? No, in contrast to some antipsychotic agents which suppress the GABA-induced choline current, Blonanserin potentiates the GABA-induced choline current, so unlikely to induce a seizure. Does it cause giddiness? No, Blonanserin has 40 times and 3 times lower affinity for alpha-1 adrenergic receptors than risperidone and haloperidol respectively, so unlikely to cause postural hypotension. Does it cause weight gain? No. Short-term treatment with Blonanserin was associated with lower incidence of increased appetite than the risperidone, 1.3 as compared to 6.2, which is quite a lot. In long term, there were no significant changes from baseline in body weight in patients who received up to 56 weeks of Blonanserin treatment. Less than 9% of recipients experienced increased body gain. Does it have any effect on blood sugar or lipid profile? No, only one of 321 Blonanserin recipients experienced the adverse event of hyperglycemia. Less than 3% of Blonanserin recipients experienced the adverse reaction of hypercholesterolemia or hypertriglyceridemia. Does it cause QTC prolongation? No, the incidence of QT interval prolongation remains low during long-term Blonanserin therapy. Does it cause increase in prolactin? Yes, in long-term trials. Hyperprolactinemia was reported in 34.4% and 20.9% of the patients. Abnormal menstruation in 9.3% and less than 7% in females which were on long-term on Blonanserin recipients. Does it have a drug-to-drug interaction? Yes, it is metabolized by CYP3A4. Potent inhibitors, CYP3 such as ketoconazole, erythromycin, grapefruit juice may increase the level of Blonanserin, and potent inducers of CYP3A4, phenytoin, carbamazepine, or rifampicin may decrease the level of Blonanserin. How should the patient take Blonanserin? Take tablet Blonanserin twice a day after meals. It is very necessary. This is the most important point that I can't emphasize enough with somebody. If you're trying to put somebody on Blonanserin, this is one thing that everybody should keep in mind, that the patient should take the medication after the meals. If patient is taking it below the meals, the bioavailability reduces to around 20% as compared to 80% when they are taking it after the meals. So yeah, this is something that we should be kept in mind, that whenever we are prescribing Blonanserin, the drug has to be administered after a meal. Better administration if the meal is fat rich, because it has a higher affinity towards its lipid soluble, and it's lipid soluble. That's why the plasma concentration in the brain basically is less and more in the brain, because it's lipid soluble. So प्लाज्मा में कम रहेगी, जितना लिपिड सॉल्युबल होगी उतना वो ब्रेन के अंदर जाएगी. We may increase the dose to 16 to 24 mg in 2 divided doses if necessary, or a single dose. One may have to add trihexyphenidyl if necessary for EPS. Thank you.